You are listening to Wrestling Observer Live with your hosts, Brian Alvarez and Mike Sempervive.
Are you ready? Are you ready?
Let's get it on!
Okay, we fooled you a little bit. Remember what we were going to do yesterday? Well, that's happening today. Big Bossman not here. Celebrating his birthday. 49 years old. Doesn't look a day over 50, does he? Wrestling Observer Live, Mike Sempervive here with you. I'll hold this thing down. Brian will be back tonight for subscribers of the website. What night is it? It's Wednesday, right? I think the Wrestling Observer newsletter is back onto a regular schedule. They don't let me in on that news, so I really don't have any idea. But I think it is, and if that's the case, and even if it's not the case, Brian will be back with Dave tonight for subscribers of the site, so yay to that. We weren't here yesterday. Well, we were here, but we were waiting on the Raw ratings, and we kind of opined about them. And just going off of the NBA's ratings, we knew that they were going to be in a little bit of trouble. Then the ratings came out when we were done, and yes, they were very low. 3 hours, 8 p.m., 2.38 million, 9 p.m., 2.09 million, 10 p.m., 1.91 million viewers averaged for Raw. The 2.13 overall is the lowest mark in modern history, with the exception of Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. That Raptors Golden State game was completely incredible. It did 18.22 million viewers in the United States. That is the only reason that Raw was low, as it killed everything on TV. Again, we talked a little bit about that yesterday with what it had done overnight to the other networks, so you knew it was going to be bad for Raw and the rest of cable TV, and we can dip into these numbers a little bit more when we get back from break, because one of the surprising numbers was not teenage boys, which we knew was going to take a beating. It was actually women. And that demo that bolted, and for whatever reason that they did, whether it was because they wanted to watch the basketball game with their mate or there was something else more exciting going on or whatever it was, that number was a brutal, brutal beating. A lot more to get into, too. We got AEW news going on, SmackDown from last night, and a whole lot more. If you want to give me a call, you can. 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. We'll be back. Mike Sempervive on the show with you, Wrestling Observer Live. I don't know if any of you got to hear the end of Rick Tittle's show right before we came on today. Michael Pierce of the Ravens, the Baltimore Ravens American Professional Football Club, who is listed at 340 pounds. That's what he's listed at, and they lie like hell in those things. The smaller people get made taller and heavier. The bigger people, they slim down. But he shows up to camp and apparently has done nothing in the offseason and was literally too fat to stretch. Too fat to stretch outside, and it's not even like it's boiling hot or anything like that. This is a team that had Samuel Adams and Tony Siragusa. It boggles my mind. It had nothing to do with pro wrestling, but we'll get back to the pro wrestling right now here on Wrestling Observer Live. Bad news ratings-wise for Raw. I'll read this off the Wrestling Observer website. As was predicted, Raw last night, in doing 2.13 million viewers, did the lowest mark in modern history with the exception of Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. The Raptors Golden State game Game 5 did 18.22 million viewers in the United States. And the game actually only went against hours 2 and 3 of Raw, as Jimmy Kimmel in the NBA Countdown was in the 8 p.m. hour on ABC. The previous non-holiday low was April 29th, which did 2.16 million viewers. Raw ended up being 7th for the night on cable, trailing the news shows on Fox News and MSNBC. The basketball game was on the ABC network. This was the last NBA playoff game against WWE programming, so there's at least some good news there, as the 6th game is on Thursday, and if there's a 7th game, it would be on Sunday. The show had a 19.8% first to third hour drop, which is not record levels, but it is amongst the biggest drops of all time. To show where viewers left, women 18 to 49 dropped 31% from the first to the third hour. Men 18 to 49 dropped 15%. Teenage girls dropped 63%. Teenage boys actually increased 10%. And over 50 dropped 18%. It is notable that during a hot basketball game that it was women by far turning off Raw more than men, even though in the 18 to 49 demo, the basketball game had a 66-34 male skew. So there you go. We knew it was going to be bad. It ended up being a little, I don't know if it was worse, I guess, because we were speaking in tones about how it may actually drop beneath those holiday levels, and it didn't do that. So at least they're out of the woods as far as basketball goes as being competition. Now, that's still the biggest thing until football, but it still doesn't make you feel good, the numbers that they have without basketball right now. Obviously, we've been talking about the headache that it's been creatively for them and how it's shown in the numbers. So we'll have to see what happens going forward here. If you want to opine on that, you're more than welcome to. 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. You can get a hold of me on Twitter as well, at Sempervive. Might as well go to the phone lines right now. Tim in Miami. Tim, how are you?
Hey, what's up, Mike? Too fat to stretch reminds me of my junior prom date. Thanks for taking me back there. But I just want to wish Brian a very happy birthday, and I hope he gets to go out tonight and have a very big steak. But on the ratings, you know what surprises me, Mike, is that as the numbers dwindle, I would have thought that the remaining audience would be more loyal, more hardcore, and therefore less susceptible to these kind of fluctuations from competition. But that's not the case, and so when I extrapolate out to football season, I don't think it's out of the realm of possibility that with a couple of months to build an audience, that AEW on Wednesday might be equal to or exceeding Raw against football on Mondays.
I think that's probably, I don't know if that's being too generous. I got to be honest, I don't have any reason to say that that's not too generous, other than history is going to indicate that that's not where AEW is going to be starting from. If you look at Impact, if you look at where WCW ended, and even where Raw is at right now, I don't know if they're going to be able to make it up that far. They're going to be blessed, I would assume, with a lot of promotion, and the fact they're going to be on TNT helps, and the fact that WWE is in such a malaise right now, but we'll have to see where they're at in fall. And they're going to pull out all the big guns when they go into football season. I mean, Brock Lesnar is going to be a looming presence. If Ronda Rousey's not pregnant by then, God knows if they're going to be talking about her or Daniel Cormier or any other, a lot of other people as well too. So I'm not real sure if that's going to be the case, at least initially, because I figure when football season hits, Raw and Vince McMahon and whoever else is involved, who is only Vince McMahon's mirror, they're going to try to throw everything they can up against the wall. So you're going to get an artificial blow-up, I would assume, right there.
Well, I think they're trying as hard as they can now, and we're not seeing the results. And let's say that does happen, and then you couple that with SmackDown getting kicked off actual Fox and sent over to one of the sports stations. It could be a very, very nasty PR fall season for WWE.
That it could, and Tim, I want to thank you very much. It always is a bad time, seemingly, sometimes for WWE and PR season. But, I just don't know initially with football if that's going to happen. And, again, they could stumble, and AEW, even if you're being really bullish on them, boy, I know that 1.9 on Monday night looks that bad, but if AEW were to get anywhere near that, I mean, how happy would TNT be? I mean, I would figure they'd be ridiculously happy. I mean, 1.3, we talked always about the 0.9 to 1.1, 1.3 million viewers that Impact would do. I mean, that's exactly, to me, that's where you want to shoot, is like 1.5 million, and hope that you can get more than that. So we'll have to see going forward. Still a long ways off right now, including banter about anything about SmackDown being knocked from Fox to FS1. This season hasn't even started yet. And they haven't saturated football, because that's the one thing, too, with Fox having their hands in, like, the Big Ten Network and stuff like that. I mean, I would figure that they're going to be doing a huge amount of advertising in a bundle for the other sports programming that's going to be on Fox, and how they're looking at their weekends, where it's like, it's big sports event night. It's must-see TV sports event night on Fox, starting with SmackDown on Friday and this on Saturday and that on Sunday. So they're going to be saturating everything with that. So we'll have to see if that has to play into it, too. And again, WWE, in spite of themselves, being benefited by all that stuff that Fox does. But Go back to the phones now. Nick in Vermont. Nick, how are you? Nick, what's on your mind?
Oh, hey, Mike. How you doing today?
Good. What's happening?
Too much. Just had a thought, and I figured you'd be the man to ask. What would the possibility be for, like, say, a Chono or a Liger, someone who worked as part of that WCW New Japan deal in the 90s, to be inducted in the Hall of Fame?
Into, like, the WWE Hall of Fame or to, like, the Observer Hall of Fame?
The WWE Hall of Fame. And the other thing is, what are your thoughts on the 24/7 title being the most viewed thing on WWE's YouTube? I know that doesn't play into ratings, but what are your thoughts on that? Because that's surprising as to, like, a casual fan as I consider myself now for WWE.
Well, I think second one first, it doesn't surprise me at all because some of the vignettes and some of the stuff that they do just for YouTube and just for social media, I mean, Stokely Hathaway is he's a main roster Hall of Famer already, and he just started with the company because he's so good with that sort of stuff. So it doesn't surprise me at all. That 24/7 title plays perfectly into that, and plays perfectly. And Ron Killings is fantastic in his role doing what he's doing. So that doesn't surprise me at all. And in fact, I think that's where I would rather see that title is over there. You know, and maybe only pop up on Raw when you need it to, and almost never pop up on SmackDown. I mean, that 2 hours can be spent for something else. Raw, you can make a case for wanting to have the sight gag in there, but I kind of wish it would go away except for social media, and I think it could really, continue to blossom there and be some, a reason that, again, a lot of people are tuning into those videos anyway. They always tout those numbers. Obviously, people are watching them in some sort of, number, so let it continue on there. When it comes to the question about the Hall of Famers, they can possibly go into the WWE Hall of Fame that worked in New Japan in that era, I'll answer that when we get back from break. Wrestling Observer Live. Back on the show, Mike Sempervive here with you, Wrestling Observer Live. Producer Dom, can we do something about the delays when I'm going to the callers, please? I don't think Producer Dom is working hard enough. He is just sitting back in a completely air-conditioned studio, sitting on a block of ice right now, not sweating bullets at all. Not sitting there with his tongue hanging out of his mouth. So make him work. 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. Go right back to the callers. Austin in Knoxville. Austin, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing today, Mike?
I'm making it, my man. What's on your mind?
Well, first, just wanted to say yesterday was my first time calling in the show. I appreciate you and Brian giving a very detailed answer. My question doesn't really have anything to do with Raw. It's kind of off topic, but I was wondering, I don't know how much you may have been involved in tape trading or anything like that back in the day, but I've been going back and watching a lot of good classic stuff, a lot of Mid-South, World Class, Mid-Atlantic, and it's interesting TV. There's a lot of good stuff on there, but they're building a lot of angles for for matches that were blown off at house shows. I was just wondering, outside of the stuff available on the network, seems to be pretty hard to find, how much footage would you, or I know Brian's not here, but would you or Brian know of some of these big NWA title matches?
Of NWA title matches, they're almost all there. When you go back into time, I mean, Flair and you could just search on YouTube. I mean, how far are you talking about going back? Are you talking about because like Dusty and Flair, the flip at the Great American Bash show in like '86? I mean, all that stuff is out there to my knowledge. I'm trying to think of where one of them would have been gone, and they're there.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. But I was looking for more early 1980s, late 1970s, like the original Dusty to Flair title change. I could find on YouTube just 2 minutes of the footage, which is frustrating because I guess all the footage must exist somewhere, but it's only got the finish and just the open of the match.
Yeah, and I think that one is actually voiced over by Larry Matisick, and I think what you see out there mostly is the one that was sent to like Georgia, that tape that, with the Georgia Championship Wrestling, and they played on Mid-Atlantic and stuff like that in 1981 in September when he won the title. That is out there. What's not out there for sure is the Harley Race and Tommy Rich matches. The only thing that is out there is clips of those things, unfortunately, of Rich's win. The loss that I think was in Gainesville, Georgia, later on in 1981 of that reign, that is gone for sure. Dusty Rhodes, I know what is out there, available. Him getting jumped by Terry Funk and then losing the title by DQ to Race later. I got to double check on that, but for something tells me all that stuff, with the exception of Race, is the Race Rich one, I think is out there. But you know what? I'll actually do a little bit of a deeper dive and double check on that. Now, what is really frustrating is where you have Ric Flair touring around, and they have build-ups to matches that'll take place at, like, the Superdome or at Texas Stadium or something like that, or wherever it is, fill in the blank, where you're not going to be able to see it, or you have a really hot title program, say between like a Roddy Piper and a Ricky Steamboat, or a Sergeant Slaughter and a Wahoo McDaniel for the U.S. title, that you don't get to see that. That's what's really frustrating, because you get to see it on TV, you get to see it on the network week after week, but that stuff, unfortunately, a lot of that is gone. And there have been a lot of there's been the Jim Cornette tapes from the 70s, and that's one thing too. If you like old school wrestling and you don't mind watching it on film without announcers, there are house shows from the 70s that he saved out of a garbage can that he has put up for sale on his website in DVDs, and it's a bunch of stuff from Mid-Atlantic from throughout the 70s, and there's some old interviews and such on there as well too, but most of it is just house show matches with some amazing stuff, with Ric Flair and Ricky Steamboat against Harley Race in a world title match, and it's not the most complete film, but there's a ton of it, and a ton of that match that's on there. I think like 25 minutes of a 60-minute match, and there's a ton of other good stuff on there as well, and title matches with the Anderson brothers, which is a rare thing. So you have to do a little bit of digging, but there is a lot of good stuff out there, and I don't know if that necessarily answers your question or not, but there is a lot of good stuff out there, and you kind of, the tape trading route is obviously changed dramatically, but with Daily Motion, with RooTube, with YouTube, with all that sort of stuff, there's a lot of good stuff out there. You just have to kind of search for it.
Thank you very much.
So, Austin,
my question pretty well.
I appreciate it, man. Thank you very much for the call. And I don't want to get too far away from what Nick asked, too, in the last segment about seeing somebody from the New Japan WCW era making it into the Hall of Fame. I mean, in a way, we've already seen that with Tatsumi Fujinami. Although he did have a career in the early 80s in the WWF or WWF, when he would come in and work Madison Square Garden against the Estradas and stuff like that. But Muda, I think, is a perfect person to make it in there. Everybody knows the Great Muda. Everybody likes the Great Muda. He still gets a reaction. I was there inside Madison Square Garden where he came out at the New Japan Battle Royal to kick off the ROH G1 Supercard, and it was unbelievable. So he's the obvious choice. Chono is a little bit of a more secondary choice, although he is somebody that I think everybody inside the wrestling business and anybody that shared a locker room with him, I think they have an incredible high level of respect for him. So him going in at some point as a Japanese representative, absolutely I could see happening. From there, Liger, sure. Actually, in Liger, yeah. And actually, maybe even Liger a little bit more than Chono, because with Liger, what WWE would rely on is the stuff with Brian Pillman. And the fact that, as we've talked about a lot on this show, find somebody that's not enthralled with Jushin Liger. Find, guys of this era that wouldn't just line up if Jushin Liger decided to start doing Dusty Rhodes' elbow, and would not line up to take the bump the same way that the Horsemen would joke about taking the bump for Dusty. I mean, everybody would fall at Liger's feet. So him at some point in that Hall of Fame, too, as a Japanese representative, which, again, they like to have. Dave talks about it all the time. They like to have one of everything. They want to have an African-American. They want to have a woman. They want to have this. They want to have that. And if you want to have an international superstar make it into the Hall of Fame every year, you're going to have to pick some people, and they have a lot of footage on those guys. I think from there, everybody else is going to be a little bit of a stretch. Yes, I know Kensuke Sasaki is a former United States champion. I know that Tenryu appeared on an episode of Tuesday Night Titans or whatever the hell it was at the time, eating the rice with Bobby Heenan before they appeared at the Royal Rumble and at WrestleMania. So, I think that's a little bit of a stretch that they're going to be in there. But I don't think the other guys, I don't think there's any question at all. They could possibly make it in one day. Going to go back to the phones, 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. Go to the Northeast. Jesse in Boston. Jesse, how are you?
Hey, Mike, how's it going?
Doing pretty good, my friend. What's on your mind?
Yeah, I wanted to kind of ask a question about WWE in relationship with AEW. I think that one of the reasons people are excited about AEW is that it's competition for WWE. We've heard that for the last few months, especially right after Double or Nothing, about how great it is that competition is going to be back for WWE, or real strong competition on cable. And my question is, it seems to be this belief that with competition from AEW, that it will force WWE to get better, that AEW will steal some WWE fans, and that will force Vince to wake up, and they'll try really hard, and they'll make a better product. But WWE has already lost a lot of fans. There's 2 million fans over the last 5 years, from 2014 to 2019, that aren't watching Raw on a regular basis. So WWE's already lost a lot of fans. And as much as we like to joke about how Vince is just happy they're getting all this TV money, they're not happy that they're losing fans. They're trying hard to grow their fan base. And over the last year, and especially over the last few months, we've seen what trying looks like for WWE. And the real question I have is that what makes anyone think that AEW stealing some more WWE fans is going to force WWE to change anything? Because they've been trying to change, and they've been trying to grow their fan base over the last several years, and they haven't been able to stop it. And we see what their kind of creative direction is for the company.
You know what, Jesse? That's you're right. And Brian talked about it being a antiquated thought. And I want to thank you very much for the call. Getting a little bit of feedback on the line there, so I'll let you go. Yeah, we saw what the Raw and the SmackDown looked like after the last show that AEW put on, the Double or Nothing show. And we saw what the result is. Now, what will happen when everything is weekly in the fall? We'll have to see. Football is WWE's first thought, because that's the first thing they're probably going to have to deal with, and it's the constant, the battle they know how to fight. So they're already going to be fighting that, and obviously getting ready for AEW to come on as well, too. Will it change as long as Vince is there? I don't know. Doesn't seem like it. He seems like what he's doing in his mind is working. Those John Moxley interviews, that again confirmed everything that everybody's been talking about for quite some time. And I think we might have a more romanticized vision of what once was and what Vince could still be if he got a little bit of competition, if he was squeezed with a little bit of pressure. I don't know if it's really going to matter. But maybe, if we're trying to fantasy book the thing, maybe it gives it does fail a little bit, and it's enough to maybe try to push him out or get him to step to the side. That is a fantasy, isn't it? Oh, well. We'll be back. Wrestling Observer Live.
You are listening to Wrestling Observer Live with Brian Alvarez and Mike Sempervive on the Sports Byline Broadcasting Network.
All right, back on the show. Mike Sempervive here with you, Wrestling Observer Live. Let's call about AEW, making Vince change, making WWE change with a little bit of pressure in the fall. We'll see. We'll see. What fans are still out there? We'll see. They're old Channel 17 fans that went away for good once everything started to change. There were Jim Crockett fans that went away for good, that stuck around for WCW through the Turner years, and the NWO came, and that switch happened, and they just went away for good. WCW ended, as we've seen by the ratings, as a guy that we know who's celebrating a birthday today wrote a book all about. Some of those people, a lot of them that experts thought would end up just becoming WWE fans because they were wrestling fans. No, they went away for good. Got a lot of people walk away from WWE now. Are they gone for good? I doubt the people listening to this show, I doubt you're in that category. You're at least easily reachable as far as trying to pull you back in, even if you do stumble away for a while. Not only for WWE, but for AEW, obviously, as well, too. AEW's got a little bit of news. Nyla Rose versus Riho versus Yuka Sakazaki has been added to AEW's Fyter Fest. Fyter Fest, based off the Fyter Fest. Saturday, June 29th, Daytona Beach, Ocean Center. The gimmick they do with the CEO Gaming Incorporation, or whatever it's called. The CEO Fighting Game Championships. Dell, I'm a big gamer. The updated card as it stands right now, Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks against Pentagon Jr. Phoenix and a mystery partner. Jon Moxley against Joey Janela. Cody Rhodes against Darby Allin. Hangman Page against MJF against Jimmy Havoc against Jungle Boy. Nyla Rose against Riho against Sakazaki. Christopher Daniels against Shima. And CEO organizer Alex Jabali against AEW's Michael Nakazawa in a hardcore match pre-show. Your comedy portion of the proceedings there, unless you really hate the Young Bucks or Kenny Omega, and then I guess the whole thing is your comedy proceedings. But not everybody is like that, Jim Cornette. Christopher Daniels against Shima is the thing that stands out. And this is like a card, too, where it's like, well, what's your style of wrestling? What do you like? Because whatever's closest to it, that's probably going to be what your favorite match is here. I can see Moxley and Janela being insanity. Insanity, because this will truly be Moxley for the first time with all of the chains off. Remember, folks, this was a man who did come up the rough way, and did come up through CZW and all that sort of good stuff. He is not against using much plunder. And Joey Janela is Joey Janela, so that's probably going to be out of control. Cody Rhodes and Darby Allin is going to be interesting. You know, if it's Cody as bully, I don't know exactly what path this could take. Part of me wonders if we're going to end up getting women involved later on down the line. Possibly, maybe, Brandy and Darby Allin's bow. Hopefully not using any gimmickry. I wonder if that's going to happen. Page, MJF, Jimmy Havoc, Jungle Boy is that's hope. I don't know what's going to happen there. Obviously, Hangman Page, I think is the obviously won the Battle Royal. He's the one penciled in with a title shot down the line against Jericho. MJF, obviously not happy with that. So it's going to be interesting. I mean, I guess anybody can come out of this. It's just, it's a matter of how everybody is presented. The Nyla Rose, I'm guessing that this thing with Nyla Rose is probably going to be what maybe the plan was going to be. Actually, I don't know what the plan was going to be with Awesome Kong coming out there. But, a lot of people thought that kind of dampered and put a little bit of shade on Nyla Rose in that match. Didn't get a chance to shine as much as possibly that she should have, and I think this is a perfect opportunity to rectify that if that's the case. But I think of all those matches, Daniels and Shima, I mean, their athleticism, historically has been fantastic, but, they don't have to rely on, the same stuff that they did way back in the day when Shima was a young guy with Dragon Gate and Daniels was dancing around as Curryman and M-Pro, So I think that really, pro wrestling-wise, I'm really looking forward to what they could possibly do in that match. Well, we'll have to see what happens. Fight for the Fallen coming up in July, All Out 2 in August, and I think when we started the show yesterday, I think Brian was going to mention something about there was some confusion about AEW and TNT and BR Live, and I don't know exactly what he was talking about, but I don't think we got into it either. BR Live is free with a sign-up. I think you can sign up with just Google or Facebook. If you have that, you can just go ahead and click one button and you're in. And I believe that that's all you have to do. I don't know. You can view, I believe, the Rich Eisen show and Dan Patrick for free if you just go up there and do that and click on a button. So I don't know if that's what they mean by being a subscriber to BR Live. I really don't know. I didn't see any prices listed up there. I saw events being advertised. I saw the 3 shows that are coming up for AEW and other events that are taking place. So I'm not sure if I'm helping at all with that, but I mean, it doesn't look like you have to do anything more than just sign up to be a quote-unquote subscriber, free for no extra charge for AEW. But I'm sure if I'm wrong, I'll be told about that. But go back to the phone lines here, 1-800-878-PLAY, 1-800-878-7529. You also get a hold of me on Twitter as well, at Sempervive. Also remember, at Brian Alvarez, that's Brian with a Y, and at Sports Byline USA, as well as at WONF4W for all of the news in professional wrestling and mixed martial arts. But Jim in Virginia, how are you? Jim, are you there? Jim floating out there in the ether, thinking about what a Nyla Rose, Riho, and Yuka Sakazaki match could bring to the table. Give Jim time, a little bit of time to gather it back together and gather himself and possibly call back in. I know he dropped on. I'm filling time. Get out of my ear. All Japan news. I do want to mention this because it is a little bit sad. As we talked about in the last couple of weeks, Atsushi Aoki of All Japan Pro Wrestling, 41 years old, died in a motorcycle accident. He was the company's World Junior Heavyweight Champion. He had a title defense that was scheduled for June 18th in Kurikan Hall. That has been changed to a special singles match between 2 members of Evolution, and this comes right from All Japan's Twitter account, that will involve his best friend and tag team partner, Hikaru Sato, and his student and protege, Yusuke Okada. So that has taken place. Also, just in honor of Aoki, that Junior Heavyweight Championship they're not going to do a thing with it until November. There is a 6-month limit that they have, the old 30-day rule for people that remember back in the day of titles needed to be defended within 30 days. Well, Noah's had a 6-month limit in case anybody gets hurt or anything like that. And Aoki's time was scheduled to run out on November 20th. So in honor of him and his passing, they are going to go ahead and hold the title off until then. They also have a memorial show scheduled on August 11th. I'm sure Dave is going to write a little bit about it in the newsletter this week. There was a press conference where it was announced that Akiyama, Suwama, and Hikaru Sato were the only people that went to Aoki's funeral. It was a relatively quiet event that they had, and that was at the request of Aoki's parents, that they didn't want to have a bunch of pro wrestlers there. I don't know if that was for any other reason other than they just wanted to keep it small and maybe keep a lot of attention away. So that would have been it, I guess. Also coming up on June 18th, too, in honor of that show at Kurikan Hall, the All Japan Classics archive show on Samurai TV is going to have an all Aoki show coming up as well, too, there. So I did want to mention that. So take it back to the phone lines now, 1-800-878-PLAY. Got Matt in Connecticut. Matt, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, Mike. How are you?
Doing pretty good, my friend. What's on your mind today?
Hey, I wanted to ask you about the Bailey-Alexa thing from Monday night. I've been listening to you guys talk about the Naito and Ibushi thing, and it's completely warranted, and I agree with everything you said on that. But after watching, Alexa's had, 2 or 3 concussions, was it this year or in total? To see her be suplexed into a turnbuckle like that, it kind of just... It made me irate in the same way it made you guys irate about the other match. And I was just wondering, who plans that out? Is that something that you think was done by the bookers? Is that something you think the girls did, in the match on their own? I was just kind of wondering where you think that comes from.
Well, I want to thank you very much for the call. I mean, it would be the agent in the match. And, I don't think we noted that yesterday, and it was flabbergasting. It really was. I know Brian brought it up on the Observer Live show or on Observer Radio with Dave on Monday night. And I thought the same thing watching it. I was just blown away. It reminded me of Daniel Bryan, when he came back initially before he got hurt against, who was it, against Luke Harper? I can't even remember who it was, where Sheamus, whoever it was, where he took I think it was the suplex on the neck, and it's like, what was that about? Well, he wanted to test it out. What? That's how you go and test it out? And you don't have to test out concussions. The best way to test out a concussion is not land on your head and get another one. And Alexa taking that sunset flip backwards and bouncing her head off the turnbuckle, I don't know. I just thought that was incredibly stupid. And, ultimately Lacey pinned Bayley, and that's what that was for that match. But, yeah. And as Dave, I think Dave mentioned that she's had 3 this year, at least 2, if not 3. So why they would go ahead and do that and why that would be agented into the match, because I just can't see them doing something on their own where it's like, hey, let's do something for an ooh or an ah or to get somebody talking, sunset flip me into the turnbuckle. I that had to be put in there. And I think it was a mistake to put that in there. I really do. And maybe I'm a little bit desensitized, although I understand what you're saying, because I had that same emotion for Naito and Ibushi. And it's, again, the most disappointing part of the Naito Ibushi thing, just to hammer it for God forbid, a 4th straight day here, is the fact that there was so much that actually got accomplished and got moved forward on that show. And some of it was taken away because of that moment, and that's all people are going to kind of remember about it. And that's the thing that's kind of lingering over everything, and it's too bad because they did do a lot of good stuff on that show. Before we run out of time here, we got a couple of other little things. Chad Gable has now joined 205 Live and had a really good match with Jack Gallagher. That's the only match I saw of 205 Live last night. I didn't have a chance to see the rest of it. But Nigel complaining about how does this help here at 205 Live? We've got too much talent as it is. Yeah, that's probably right. And maybe this is going to be a place that people look at for Chad Gable to go and die and never be seen again. But I don't care. At least I'm a wrestling fan, so if I get a chance to see him showcase himself, and it looks as though with the way the match ended last night with Jack Gallagher, and I'll go ahead and spoil this for everybody, losing by countout, it looks like that feud can continue, and, I would love to see that. The 205 Live Championship is up, and who's going to get the title shot? Tozawa, Carrillo, Lorcan, and Gulak. I know it ended in a double pin, so they're going to have that continues to move forward as well, too, so... Yeah, and I know we got some people on the line. Unfortunately, we're not going to be able to get to you today, but don't worry. The best part about this show is there's always a tomorrow. And I think Brian's going to be back, too, but we'll have to see about that. Only thing I know is there's a break right now, and I need to go to it. Wrestling Observer Live. Some people here, check yourself. I'm so old, I hear the message. Wrestling Observer Live, Mike Sempervive. New Japan and Women of Wrestling are moving to Saturday nights on Access. Access announced the beginning on July 13th. New Japan and WOW are moving from Friday to Saturday nights. WOW will air at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, with New Japan airing at 9. Moving from Fridays to Saturdays means that New Japan and WOW won't be going against SmackDown when it comes to Fox in October. That is probably smart. The opening night of this year's New Japan G1 Climax will also air live on Access at 6 p.m. Eastern on Saturday, July 6th. The show is taking place at the American Airlines Center in Dallas, Texas. Common denominator here, Mark Cuban. The July 6th show will be the start of 6 weeks of same-day G1 coverage on Access. That's awesome for people with access. After the shows take place on Saturday morning, 2-hour broadcasts of them will air on Access that night. A Block Finals, Saturday, August 10th, and air on Access later that night. The B Block, August 11th. That'll air on August 17th, and the G1 Finals will be held on August 12th. And those will air on Access on August 24th. Starting with the move to Saturdays on July 13th, the first season of WOW on Access will be replayed over 8 weeks. The second season will then premiere on Saturday, September 7th. There will be 24 episodes in the second season. And I'm going back here, too. I'm looking at NWA title defenses from over the years. I may have spoken too soon. Baba and Race is out there, certainly from October 31st, 79. But there is, I guess, mostly clips out there. So, again, I'm going to dive a little bit deeper into that because, well, it's something I like doing anyway. Those old title matches and old everything, because I'm old. But you know what? No matter how old I get, Brian Alvarez is still going to always be about 6 months older. Happy birthday, boss man. He'll be back tonight for subscribers to the website. He and Dave, Wrestling Observer Radio. I'm not sure what else he's got planned, but I know he's got plans on being back here tomorrow. So thank you, everybody that's listened, everybody that called in, producer Dom. We will talk to you again after a while.
It's the NWA at the Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana, Saturday, April 19th. Tickets go on sale Monday, March 10th for the one-day tag team tournament for the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup at the Superdome. Seattle Center Coliseum, Seattle, Washington. Wednesday, March 26th, 8 o'clock. The Road Warriors, Dusty Rhodes, many others in Seattle, Washington. Memorial Coliseum, Portland, Oregon. Tuesday, March 25th, 8 o'clock. Nature Boy Ric Flair, Ivan and Nikita Koloff, and many others in Portland, Oregon. Pacific Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Saturday, March 22nd at 8:30. Rock and Roll Express, Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin with Precious, and many others in Philadelphia. Pacific Center, Huntington, West Virginia. Friday, March 21st, 8 o'clock. Nature Boy Ric Flair, the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette, and many others in the Civic Center in Huntington, West Virginia. Memorial Hall, Kansas City, Kansas. Thursday, March 20th, 8 o'clock. Nature Boy Ric Flair, Ron Garvin, and other top stars in Kansas City, Kansas. Pacific Center, Lansing, Michigan. Tuesday, March 18th at 8 o'clock. Dusty Rhodes, Magnum TA, Joey the Boogie Woogie Man Vine, and many others in Lansing, Michigan. Pacific Center, Saginaw, Michigan. Monday, March 17th, 8 o'clock. The Road Warriors with Precious, Paul Ellering, Ivan and Nikita Koloff, and other top stars in Saginaw, Michigan. The Convention Center, Cleveland, Ohio. Sunday, March 16th, 8 o'clock. Nature Boy Ric Flair, the Midnight Express with Jim Cornette, and others in Cleveland. And tonight, 8 o'clock at the Omni in Atlanta. The Rock and Roll Express, Magnum TA, Dusty Rhodes with Baby Doll, and many others tonight at the Omni in Atlanta. It's the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, the Major League of Professional Wrestling. It's the NWA at the Superdome, New Orleans, Saturday, April 19th. Tickets go on sale tomorrow for the one-day tag team tournament for the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup at the Superdome, the Civic Center, Baltimore, Maryland. Monday, March 31st, 8 o'clock. Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin with Precious, the Road Warriors, and many others in Baltimore. Seattle Center Coliseum, Seattle, Washington. Wednesday, March 26th, 8 o'clock. Nature Boy Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes, many others in Seattle, Washington. The Civic Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Saturday, March 22nd at 8:30. Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin with Precious, Nikita Koloff, Tully Blanchard, and others in Philadelphia. Pacific Center, Albany, Georgia. Friday, March 21st, 8:30. Magnum TA, Arn Anderson, Ivan Koloff, and others in Albany, Georgia. Pacific Center, Lansing, Michigan. Tuesday, March 18th, 8 o'clock. The Road Warriors, Dusty Rhodes with Baby Doll, and many others in Lansing, Michigan. And Monday, March 17th, 8 o'clock, the Civic Center in Saginaw, Michigan. Nature Boy Ric Flair, Magnum TA, and other top stars in Saginaw, Michigan. It's the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. It's the Major League of Professional Wrestling. It's World Championship Wrestling, the Meadowlands Arena, East Rutherford, New Jersey. Monday, April 28th at 7:30 with the Road Warriors, Dusty Rhodes, Nikita Koloff, many others in the Meadowlands. The Arena, St. Louis, Missouri. Sunday, April 27th at 8 o'clock. Nature Boy Ric Flair, the Road Warriors, many others in St. Louis Express. Dusty Rhodes, many others in Charlotte, North Carolina. It's the NWA, the Major League of Professional Wrestling. World Championship Wrestling, Civic Center Coliseum, Charleston, West Virginia. Saturday, May 3rd at 8 o'clock. That's in Charleston, West Virginia. Roanoke Civic Center, Roanoke, Virginia. Friday, May 2nd at 8 o'clock in Roanoke, Virginia. The Meadowlands Arena, East Rutherford, New Jersey. Monday, April 28th at 7:30. Dusty Rhodes, the Road Warriors, Ivan and Nikita Koloff, many others in the Meadowlands. The Arena, St. Louis, Missouri. Sunday, April 27th, 8 o'clock. Nature Boy Ric Flair, Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Vine, Dusty Rhodes with Baby Doll, and other top stars in St. Louis. The Civic Center, Baltimore, Maryland. Saturday, April 26th, 8 o'clock. The Road Warriors, Ivan and Nikita Koloff, the Midnight Express, and others in Baltimore. Richmond Coliseum, Richmond, Virginia. Friday, April 25th at 8:15. The Rock and Roll Express, the Road Warriors, Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin, many others in Richmond, Virginia. And tonight, the Superdome, New Orleans. At 7:30, it's the evening session for the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup. Tonight at the Superdome, it's the NWA, the Major League of Professional Wrestling. World Championship Wrestling, Convention Center, San Antonio, Texas. Thursday, May 22nd, 8 o'clock. That's in San Antonio, Texas. The Civic Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Sunday, May 4th, 8 o'clock in Philadelphia. Roanoke Civic Center, Roanoke, Virginia. Friday, May 2nd, 8 o'clock in Roanoke, Virginia. The Arena, St. Louis, Missouri. Sunday, April 27th at 8 p.m. Nature Boy Ric Flair, the Road Warriors, Dusty Rhodes, Wahoo McDaniel, many others in St. Louis. The Civic Center, Baltimore, Maryland. Saturday, April 26th at 8 o'clock. The Road Warriors, Ivan and Nikita Koloff, the Midnight Express, and others in Baltimore. Richmond Coliseum, Richmond, Virginia. Friday, April 25th at 8:15. Nature Boy Ric Flair, the Rock and Roll Express, Magnum TA, many others in Richmond, Virginia. And tonight, 7:30, the evening session for the Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup at the Superdome. It's all tonight in New Orleans, Jim Crockett Senior Memorial Cup. It's the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance, the Major League of Professional Wrestling. World Championship Wrestling, the Gator Bowl, Jacksonville, Florida, Saturday, July 12th. That's World Championship Wrestling, the Civic Center, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, Saturday, August 16th at 8:30 in Philadelphia. The Arena, St. Louis, Missouri, Saturday, August 9th, 8 o'clock. Nature Boy Ric Flair, Magnum TA, Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin and Precious, others in St. Louis. The Richmond Coliseum, Richmond, Virginia, Friday, August 8th at 8:15 in Richmond. Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium, Saturday, August 2nd, 7 o'clock. The Road Warriors, Baby Doll, Dusty Rhodes, others in Atlanta's Fulton County Stadium. Memorial Hall, Kansas City, Kansas, Thursday, July 31st at 8 o'clock. Nature Boy Ric Flair, Dusty Rhodes with Baby Doll, other top stars in Kansas City, Kansas, Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas. Sunday, July 27th at 8 o'clock. Nature Boy Ric Flair, Magnum TA, The Road Warriors, others in Dallas, Texas. Greensboro Coliseum, Greensboro, North Carolina. Saturday, July 26th at 7 o'clock. Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant, Paul Jones, others in Greensboro. The Scope Coliseum, Norfolk, Virginia. Friday, July 25th at 7 o'clock. With the Road Warriors and Precious Paul Ellering. The Midnight Express and Jim Cornette, others at the Scope in Norfolk. Freedom Hall Civic Center, Johnson City, Tennessee. Wednesday, July 23rd at 7 o'clock. Nature Boy Ric Flair, Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant, the Rock and Roll Express, others in Johnson City, Tennessee. Cumberland County Memorial Arena in Fayetteville, North Carolina, Monday, July 21st, 7 o'clock. The Rock and Roll Express, the Road Warriors and Precious Paul Ellering, others in Fayetteville, North Carolina. It's the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. It's the Major League of Professional Wrestling. World Championship Wrestling, the Arena, St. Louis, Missouri, Saturday, August 9th at 8 o'clock with Baby Doll, Jim Cornette, The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and many others in St. Louis. Atlanta Fulton County Stadium, Saturday, August 2nd at 7 o'clock with the Road Warriors, Baby Doll, many others, Atlanta Fulton County Stadium. Memorial Hall in Kansas City, Kansas, Thursday, July 31st, 8 o'clock. Nature Boy Ric Flair, The American Dream, Dusty Rhodes, and other top stars in Kansas City. Reunion Arena in Dallas, Texas, Sunday, July 27th at 7:30. Dusty Rhodes, The Road Warriors, Magnum TA, many others in Dallas. Greensboro Coliseum, Greensboro, North Carolina, Saturday, July 26th at 7 o'clock. Nature Boy Ric Flair, Jimmy the Boogie Woogie Man Valiant, Paul Jones, others in Greensboro. The Scope Coliseum, Norfolk, Virginia, Friday, July 25th, 7 o'clock. The Road Warriors, the Rock and Roll Express, others in Norfolk. Freedom Hall Civic Center, Johnson City, Tennessee, Wednesday, July 23rd at 7 o'clock. With the Road Warriors, Baby Doll, Jim Cornette, others in Johnson City, Tennessee. Cumberland County Memorial Arena, Fayetteville, North Carolina, Monday, July 21st, 7 o'clock. Magnum TA, Dusty Rhodes, Baby Doll, many others in Fayetteville. Tomorrow night, 8:15, Memorial Auditorium in Greenville, South Carolina. The Road Warriors, the Rock and Roll Express, others in Greenville. And tonight, 8 o'clock, the Civic Center in Baltimore. The Midnight Express with Jim Cornette, Baby Doll, Gorgeous Jimmy Garvin and Precious, many others. It's tonight, 8 o'clock, at the Civic Center in Baltimore. It's the NWA, the National Wrestling Alliance. It's the Major League of Professional Wrestling.